Hey guys, welcome back to Teen Book Talk. Today I have a few more books to talk to you guys about, some new young adult books that we just got in today. All four of them I thought sounded really good, so today I am going to share the synopsis of each book with you guys, and then we'll read the first page again like we did last time and see if the book really pulls us in or not, and kind of talk about, whether or not that first page really grabs us or not. So that's what we're going to do, and then I'll also mention the Goodreads star review for each book, just in case you're interested in that, although everybody has their own opinion, and a lot of times the Goodreads star review overall will be, a different review from what I would give a book. A lot of times I'll give a book 5 stars. That only had about 3 stars on average on Goodreads, but, we all have our own opinions. So the first book that we got today is called That Way Madness Lies, and this is of Shakespeare's most notable works reimagined and edited by Dalla Adler. So this is an anthology book. So an anthology is a book made up of different short stories, different stories. So this book is going to have different stories based on some Shakespeare works. So here's the synopsis for you. A midwinter dance in a gym, a cast party amongst the stars, an ode to a fallen rap legend. So already you can tell that these are going to be more modern takes on Shakespeare stories. Contemporary audiences have always craved reimaginings of William Shakespeare's classic works. Now today's best writers for teens take on the bard in these 15 whip-smart and original retellings. And here's some praise for this book here. It says, the New York Times Book Review said it brims over with fierce delight and uncanny invention. If you haven't read Poe before, his hideous heart works equally well as an introduction, a tribute, and a loving critique. So we have a Poe introduction in here as well. So that's interesting. Alrighty. The first story, which I'm going to get to, and there's different stories in here, but we'll just read the first page of the first story in here, which is titled Severe Weather Warning, inspired by The Tempest. It's by Emily Wimberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. I haul my sister's luggage down the stairs, letting the suitcase strike every step. The noise reverberates into the house and joins the echoes of thunder in a foreboding rhythm. Nevertheless, I feel a sliver of pleasure whenever I drop the wheels onto the undeserving hardwood. I'm angry as the storm outside. When I reach the entryway, I hear the screen door rattling, the hinges and mesh shaking while the wind whips past the porch. On the front table is the folder of documents Mom prepared this morning before hugging patients goodbye and heading to work. My sister's boarding pass, emergency contact information, the credit card patients got special for the summer-long internship in New York. I'm 17, 1 year older than Patience, and even I don't have a credit card, and I'm certainly not getting on a plane anytime soon. I'm stuck in nowhere, Oklahoma for the foreseeable future. So this sounds pretty good so far, this first story. Obviously we can tell it's more modern because, well, she has a credit card. Patience, her sister, has a credit card. They didn't have credit cards in Shakespeare's day. She's getting ready to go to school and do an internship back in Shakespeare's time. I don't think that women were going to school then, or so that's another kind of lets you know that this is more modern. And then I really like the imagery in this first part already. She feels a sliver of pleasure, so that tells you how she feels, that sliver of pleasure, instead of just saying, she felt pleasure, she was happy or something like that. The noise reverberates into the house, the echoes of thunder, foreboding rhythm. So really good word choice, which is a little bit reflective of Shakespeare right there, because Shakespeare was a lyrical artist, if you will. He was kind of an artist when it came to his work. He had his own Shakespearean language and way of writing. His writing style was very unique. So I like that reflects some of that in these retellings here. So Goodreads gives this a 3.71 stars, and this is out of 5 stars. So 3.71 is pretty good. This book falls under these genre categories: young adults, retellings, of course, short stories, anthologies, LGBT, contemporary, fiction, classics, and romance. So got several different genres in one there. So I think that you guys might enjoy that one, and there's some diversity in there as well. All right, the next book we have here is Fable, and this is by Adrienne Young, and this is another new one that we got, and I love this cover. Beautiful cover, by the way. So let's read the synopsis of Fable. Just want to show off the cover again. So pretty. Welcome to a world made dangerous by the sea and by those who wish to profit from it, where a young girl must find her place in her family while trying to survive in a world built for men. For 17-year-old Fable, the daughter of the most powerful trader in the Narrows, the sea is the only home she has ever known. It's been 4 years since the night she watched her mother drown during an unforgiving storm. The next day, her father abandoned her on a legendary island filled with thieves and little food. To survive, she must keep to herself, learn to trust no one, and rely on the unique skills her mother taught her. The only thing that keeps her going is the goal of getting off the island, finding her father, and demanding her rightful place beside him and his crew. To do so, Fable enlists the help of a young trader named West to get her off the island and across the Narrows to her father. But her father's rivalries and the dangers of his trading enterprise have only multiplied since she last saw him. Whoop. And Fable soon finds that West isn't who he seems. Together, they will have to survive more than the treacherous storms that haunt the Narrows if they're going to stay alive. Fable takes you on a spectacular journey filled with romance, intrigue, and adventure. So if you like all three of those, romance, intrigue, and adventure, then you will probably like this book here. I can already tell that I feel like there's going to be pirates. I feel like there's going to be pirates because there's thieves. It's an island, of course, so I'm picturing a ship. Obviously, her father has a crew. She's taken her rightful place beside him and his crew. So, totally pirates. Totally. I really like pirate books. So that's why I'm geeking out a little bit. And here's a map. I love when there's a map for you. Just to kind of illustrate the setting, the location of the story. All right, and here's the first page. It's kind of short, so I'll probably go over the next page again. That bastard was leaving me again. Between the trees, I could see Coy and the others kicking up sand as they pushed off the beach. The skiff slid into the water and I ran faster, my bare feet finding their way over twisted tree roots and buried rock on the path. I came through the thicket just in time to see the smirk on Coy's lips as the sail dropped open. "Coy!" I shouted, but if he could hear me over the sound of the waves, he didn't show it. I tore down the slope until I reached the foam left by a retreating wave and planted one foot in the wet sand before I jumped, my feet kicking as I flew over the swell toward the stern. I caught the stay with one hand and crashed into the side of the hull, my legs dragging me in the water as the skiff took off. No one offered me a hand as I pulled myself up and over the side with a curse under my breath. So far, I really like this so far. It's kind of putting you in that piratey atmosphere. You know, they're on a ship, and she cusses a little bit. I apologize for saying bastard there at first, but that, you know, pirates said curse words. That's why people say they cuss like a sailor, which you shouldn't do. Don't say bad words. Don't cuss. It's just not nice. But anyway, that's what pirates did, and so this is already kind of foreshadowing this whole feel, this kind of grim piratey adventure story here. So it sounds really good. Good imagery. You know, the skiff slid into the water, so it's, you know, putting some motion into, you know, objects there. She says that there's trees. She says between the trees she can see Coy and the others. There's a thicket, you know, and if you haven't seen a thicket, it's kind of just a big, you know, tangled vines and bushes and things all together like that. She tore down the slope, you know, instead of just running down the slope, she tore down the slope and she reached the foam left by the wave. So really good imagery there. And so Goodreads gives this a 4.16 stars, so pretty good. It says it falls under these genres of fantasy, young adult, of course, romance, adventure, pirates. Yay, there's going to be more pirates in it. Fiction, adventure, audiobook, because you can find this on audiobook version. I think all of these you can probably find on audiobook. High fantasy, since it basically it takes place in another world. It's a complete fictional island there. And science fiction fantasy as well. So you have two different types of fantasies there. Science fiction and high fantasy. Okay, the next book, the third book I have to talk about is The Bright and the Pale. And I love this cover. Once again, another beautiful cover. And this is by Jessica Rubinkowski. So 17-year-old Valeria is one of the only survivors of the freeze, a dark magical hold not mountain unleashed on her village. Everyone, including her family, is trapped in an unbreakable sheet of ice. Ever since, she's been on the run from the Tsar, who is determined to imprison anyone who managed to escape. Valeria finds refuge with the Thieves Guild, doing odd jobs with her best friend, Alec, the only piece of home she has left. That is, until he is brutally murdered. A year later, she discovers Alec is alive and being held against his will. To buy his freedom, she must lead a group of cutthroats and thieves on a perilous expedition to the very mountain that claimed her family. Only something sinister slumbers in the heart of Nott, and it has waited years for release. Inspired by Russian folklore, Jessica Rubinkowski's epic fantasy debut is a thrilling page-turner with romance, tragedy, magic, and monsters that will stay with you to the very end. Okay, so if you like these ones, romance, tragedy, magic, and monsters, you're gonna definitely like this one, I think, because it says it's a page-turner, and it's inspired by Russian folklore, so I take it this is going to be another retelling, actually, based on a Russian story. I'm not familiar with Russian folklore, so I'm not sure exactly what story this is a takeoff of. So, but that's really interesting. I'll have to do some research on that. I encourage you to research the original story. All right, so here we go with the first page. The knock at my door can mean only one of two things. I've finally been discovered and should prepare for my immediate shipment to a tiurma, a prison in the middle of a freezing wasteland. Or I've got another mission. Neither sounds appealing. I roll from the warm cocoon of my quilt and wince as my feet hit the floor. The bite of the cold boards rolls through me and reminds me why I wasn't able to sleep in the first place. It's the type of night that makes me remember. My dreams would be haunted by crawling frost and frozen bodies. My mother swallowed by ice. My father trapped forever, laughing at a joke I never heard. I squeezed my eyes shut against the thought, willing the dull sheen of ice covering my mother's face to fade from memory. Whoa. So already you get this sense of foreboding. You know, you get this really, it's kind of a somber tone here. We know she's got a mission. She says that in the first paragraph. She's got another mission, and it has to do with the fact that, you know, she's having these dreams about her family being trapped. And we read in the synopsis that they, you know, some of these people have been imprisoned, and we already know that she's trying to find Alec, you know, her best friend. So very, yeah, it sounds kind of dark a little bit. But I think this will be a really cool read, very immersive, because, you know, there's magic and monsters. I'm thinking high fantasy for sure, different world than ours, I think. So yeah, this sounds really good. You know, imagery already really awesome. Frost, haunted by crawling frost. That, I really like that. That's just bone chilling right there. And frozen bodies. Her mother swallowed by ice. You can just envision her encased by ice. She's got a dull sheen of ice covering her face instead of just saying her face was covered in ice. That's a really cool way to, you know, paint that picture for you in your mind. So Goodreads gives this book a 4.01, so pretty good, pretty good. But you know, once again, don't take these reviews and think that that is definitely what you're going to think of the book yourself, because you yourself might not give this 4 stars. You might not like it as much. You might give it 5 stars, okay? So, you know. The genres that this falls under: fantasy, of course, because we have magic and monsters. Young adult, of course. Mythology, because it is a take on Russian folklore, so probably kind of like Russian mythology there. Adventure retellings, once again. Cultural, Russian folklore. Romance, and high fantasy. So like I said, the magic and, you know, the fact that this pretty much takes place in a world unlike our own, kind of. A little bit similar, but there's a lot of fantastical themes in here. So high fantasy there. Okay, and last but not least, this book is titled Firekeepers Daughter, and it's by Angeline Boulet. And this one I thought sounded really cool. So here is the synopsis, and I love this cover myself. It's so pretty. I love the details. I love the bear and the bird, because this is a Native American story. The main character is Native American. So you know, you have a lot of imagery here that is reminiscent of that culture there. So really cool cover. All right, here's the synopsis. 18-year-old Donis Fontaine has never quite fit in, both in her hometown and on the nearby Ojibwe reservation. She dreams of a fresh start at college, but when family tragedy strikes, Donis puts her future on hold to look after her fragile mother. The only bright spot is meeting Jamie, the charming new recruit on her brother Levi's hockey team. Yet even as Donis falls for Jamie, she senses the dashing hockey star is hiding something. Everything comes to light when Donis witnesses a shocking murder, thrusting her into an FBI investigation of a lethal new drug. Reluctantly, Donis agrees to go undercover, drawing on her knowledge of chemistry and Ojibwe traditional medicine to track down the source. But the search for truth is more complicated than Donis imagined, exposing secrets and old scars. At the same time, she grows concerned with an investigation that seems more focused on punishing the offenders than protecting the victims. Now, as the deceptions and deaths keep growing, Donis must learn what it means to be a strong Anishinaabe Kwe, Ojibwe woman is what that means, and how far she'll go for her community, even if it tears apart the only world she's ever known. Firekeepers Daughter is an electrifying thriller layered with a rich exploration of the modern Native experience, a reckoning of current and historical injustices, and a powerful celebration of community. So this is one book that, you know, I'm sure this is going to open a lot of eyes for people to the modern Native American life. We don't really, especially here where I live, we don't have a lot of Native American people, so we don't see their lives. We don't really know a lot about their culture. We could research it. We learn a little bit in school, but I think that this will be one of those books that, you know, everybody should read, really, to get a little bit of a feel for Native American life in today's world. You know, learn about some injustices they face, because it mentions some injustices that are taking place in the story. So a little bit of cultural things, and then we might focus on some more of the positive things with the Native American life, such as, you know, their spirituality, which is one theme in Native American culture that, you know, I find really interesting myself as a spiritual person. So I think this is going to be a really good read. So let's read the first page. Oh, I opened it right up. Didn't have to go through the bibliography information. Okay. I start my day before sunrise, throwing on running clothes and laying a pinch of sama at the eastern base of a tree where sunlight will touch the tobacco first. Prayers begin with offering sama and sharing my spirit name, clan, and where I'm from. I always add an extra name to make sure Creator knows who I am. I name a name that connects me to my father because I began as a secret and then a scandal. I give thanks to Creator and ask for For Zungidawin, because I'll need courage for what I have to do after my 5-mile run. I've put it off for a week. The sky lightens as I stretch in the driveway. My brother complains about my lengthy warm-up routine whenever he runs with me. I keep telling Levi that my longer, bigger, and therefore vastly superior muscles require more intensive preparation for peak performance. The real reason, which he would think is dorky, is that I recite the correct anatomical name for each muscle as I stretch. Not just the superficial muscles, but the deep ones too. I want an edge over the other college freshmen in my human anatomy class this fall. So right away, we're kind of getting, a feel for who this character is. First, it starts out with, she's doing some kind of prayer. So we're getting some knowledge some insight into her spirituality, of her culture, of her people. She's doing an offering of sama, a pinch of sama, that she's placing at the base of an eastern tree. And she says, where sunlight will touch the tobacco first. So context clues, we know that sama is a type of tobacco that her people use as an offering for praying to the Creator. She says her spirit name, her clan, and where she's from. And she says she also adds an extra name that connects her to her father because she began as a secret and then a scandal. So this makes you wonder, okay, well, what's different about her father? Why does she add an extra name for her father? So I really like the imagery here as well. I like that she says the sky lightens as I stretch into the driveway. So she's doing her stretches. She's stretching into the driveway. I believe that's what that means. She's doing a warm-up routine. So yeah. But the sky lightens. So that's beautiful, beautiful imagery there. We know that it's early morning because of that. That tells us it's early in the morning because the sky is lightening, so the sun is coming up. So we know that it's early morning. So I think this is going to be a really good read. I would love to read. I can't wait to read it and connect with this character, learn more about Native American culture, and just read a really good story. And once again, maybe open your mind to some things that we don't know about Native American culture. So yeah, I think it sounds really, really good. So Goodreads gave this one a 4.57. So this one was the highest out of these. But once again, you might think it was even better. You might give it a full 5 stars, So, and it falls under the genres of young adult, mystery, because she's trying to find the truth about some injustice here, contemporary, fiction, thriller, mystery thriller, fantasy, which we already know that, young adult, which we already said that, which it sometimes Goodreads repeats a lot of genres on there, so, and audiobook, because it can find it on audiobooks. It has audiobook under the genres as well on there. So yeah, once again, these books sound really good. I can't wait to read them. They are available here at the library. If you'd like to put one on hold, just give us a call if you'd like those. And one last thing that I want to mention before I go is a craft, a young adult craft, that I'm going to have here in the young adult department for you. It'll be a take and make craft, and this is what you're going to be making. It's some flowers. It's a little paper floral decoration that you can make. It's got beads on there. You can paint your petals. You just cut out your petals and paint them. String them onto some wire with beads, and get some macrame string here to tie them together. You can hang it wherever you'd like. So that's going to be the craft that I'm going to have ready sometime this week, so just keep an eye out for that. And this is what the kits look like. If you live around here and you want to come by the library and grab one, you can totally come by the young adult department, which is my desk, the young adult desk in the children's room, and grab a kit. And it shows you all the materials that you need, and the tools that you need at home. Basically, you're going to have to have your medium that you're going to use to color your petals, so paint, markers, acrylics, pastels, crayon, pencil, whatever you want to use. So that's all you'll need for that. Of course, scissors, and also probably a thumbtack or something that you can use to push through the petals to get the wire through the middle of the petals. So that is going to be happening this week. I will post my instructional video on YouTube as well this week. So that'll be up and ready to go soon. So stay tuned for the next Teen Book Talk the week after next. And we'll talk about some more books then. So I hope that you guys have an awesome rest of your week.